Do you ever wonder about the interest rate of the things you buy in the store, for example? Probably not. However, do you know that the interest rate is one of the most important factors to consider when you're on a tight budget? Oh, now you're interested. Well, we are from STEM 11Y12, presenting our topic, Simple Interest.
Simple interest is the interest charged on the principal alone for the entire duration of the investment at a particular rate. After the term of the loan, the maturity value or future value is computed by getting the sum of the principal and the interest due. In short, simple interest is the amount of interest that you are going to end up with in that period.
Now that we know what simple interest is, let's look at the formulas and its definitions. Don't worry because it's very simple. I stands for interest, P stands for principal, the starting amount or the borrowed amount. R stands for rate, the percentage of the extra amount charged on the total principal. T stands for time expressed in months. And lastly, MB or the maturity value is the amount payable at the end of the term. Look at the image below. Here, you can see 4 possible formulas by using the triangle method, meaning you don't need to memorize each formula. You can just visualize or create your diagram with interest always on the top.
What if the rate is missing? We use this formula, I over P times T. What if the principal is 25,000 pesos? Interest is 1,500 and the rate is 2.5%. In this diagram, we can see that the time is missing. Therefore, to solve for time, we need to divide the interest over rate times principal. It should look something like this. When placing the rate into the formula, always move the decimal 2 places to the left. Since we know now the formula, all that's left is plugging and solving the digits accordingly. With the interest at 1,500, the principal at 25,000 and the rate being 0.025. 25,000 multiplied by 0.025 is 625. 1,500 divided by 625 is 2.4. That is why the allotted time for paying the loan is 2.4 years.
Example number 2. What if the rate is missing? We use this formula I over P times T. If the principal is 50,000 pesos, the interest is 2,000 pesos and time is 60 months. In this diagram, we can see that rate is missing. Therefore, to solve for rate, we need to divide the interest over principal times time. It should look something like this. Since we know now the formula, all that's left is plugging and solving the digits accordingly. With the interest at 2,000, the principal at 50,000, and time being 60 months. First, convert the months into years. Divide 60 into 12, that will give us 5 years. Then continue solving. 50,000 multiplied by 5 is 250,000. 2,000 divided by 250,000 is 0.008. Move 2 decimal places to the right to convert into percentage, and that will give us 0.8%. The charge rate is 0.8%.
Example number 3. What if the interest is missing? We use this formula P times R times T. If the principal is 1,500 pesos, the rate is 6% and time is 7 years. In this diagram, we can see that interest is missing. Therefore, to solve for the interest, we need to multiply principal, rate, and time to get the interest. It should look something like this. Since we now know the formula, all that's left is plugging and solving the digits accordingly. With the principal at 1,500, the rate at 6%, and time being 7 years. Since the time is already in years, we won't divide or convert it anymore. So, 1,500 multiplied to 0.06 is 90. Then, 90 times 7 is 630. So, the total interest is 630 in 7 years. Let's look at the word problem.
Example number 4. Marie borrowed 10,000 pesos from Ronel at the rate of 10% simple interest. She then returned the money after 3 years. Now, the question is, how much money did she return to Ronel in total? If we understand the problem, she must have returned the money, 10,000 pesos, in 3 years with a 10% interest rate. So now we are looking for the overall amount. That is why we use the maturity value formula. To find the given, you must first analyze the problem. Since Marie borrowed 10,000 pesos, that will be our principal, while the rate is 10% with its simple interest. And lastly, my favorite is time, which is 3 years. Now all that's left to do is to substitute the given. You can say that MV is equal to the rate, which is 0.1, times the time, which is 3 years, added to 1, and multiplied to 10,000. After we're done substituting, solving should go like this. First, multiply your rate with time. Then, when you have your answer, add it to 1. When you have your answer, multiply it to the principal. 0.1 times 3 is 0.3. 0.3 plus 1 is 1.3. Then 1.3 times 10,000 is 13,000. In total, Marie returned 13,000 pesos with a 10% interest rate at the end of 3 years.
Example number 5. Jhanna borrowed 100,000 pesos from Joanne. It is with 15% interest to be paid at the end of 5 years. Find the maturity value. To find the overall amount to be paid, use the maturity value formula. Let's now substitute the given first. You can say that MV is equal to the rate, which is 0.5 times the time, which is 5 years, added to 1 and multiplied to 100,000. 0.15 times 5 is 0.75. 0.75 plus 1 is 1.75, and 1.75 times 100,000 is 175,000. The value that Jhanna has to pay is 175,000 pesos with a 15% interest rate at the end of 5 years.
References are linked here. Thank you for learning with us.